Hey there, it's your guide to all things joy, and welcome to the Joy Journey podcast. Get ready for some laughter, real talk, and a whole lot of heart today in this episode with the beautiful Dayna Hammond, founder of the Parsons Animal Rescue Foundation. We sit down for a coffee talk, just a real life chat about healing, hope, horses, and the wild journey of life. We dive into how rescuing abused and neglected horses mirrors our own healing journeys, how energy and trust create true transformation, and why sometimes you just have to tell your ego to blast off. From rescue stories that will give you full body shivers to personal moments of resilience, this one is real, raw, and so inspiring. Enjoy. Hey there, it's Jillian, your guide to all things joy, and this is the Joy Journey podcast. Oh my God. Hello and welcome to the Joy Journey podcast, where joy is an inside job. I'm your host, Jillian Shecker, and today I am beyond excited to introduce you to my good friend and soul sister, Dayna Hammond. Dayna is the founder and president of the Parsons Animal Rescue Foundation. That is a mouthful. Parsons Animal Rescue Foundation. Say that 4 times fast. A sanctuary dedicated to rescuing, rehabilitating, and giving new life to abused and neglected horses across Alberta. With deep roots in agriculture and a lifelong love for animals, Dayna's built a powerful movement of healing, hope, and second chances for some of the most vulnerable among us. Through her leadership at PARF, Dayna reminds us that with compassion, resilience, and care, true transformation is possible, not just for animals, but for all of us. I'm already feeling emotional. I'm so honored to have her here today. The work she does is so inspiring. Every birthday, I actually get everyone to donate to the Parsons Rescue Foundation. And I'm just so excited for everyone to learn more about Dayna and her mission. The magic of rescue is what she's here to share today, and the lessons that these beautiful animals teach us about hope and healing. Welcome, Dayna.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
We're popping our podcast cherry.
Yes, I have always wanted to be on a podcast. So not only are you like popping it, but it's going to be phenomenal because it's you. So I'm excited.
No pressure. It was so funny. Dayna was like the first person when we launched the Joy Journey podcast. She reached out because we had shared, the 3 episodes that what you're supposed to do is have like a bit of a backlog, 3 episodes. And then it was like, I was actually sharing an episode a week, and she reached out. She's like, where's the next show? Like, what the hell's going on over here? And I just thought that was so sweet and so supportive. You are so supportive. I've known Dayna since 4 years, 3 or 4 years now.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. We met at Integrity Seminars. She was teaming and fell in love with her there. That's where we met, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I just so resonated with your realness. Like I could just feel, with genuine people, you just feel their real heart. And I felt yours right away. I know we had lots of giggles. And it just felt like soul sister.
Thank you.
So
I know
Lily in the background.
I love seeing her. Mine are all hidden, including the goat. So
oh my gosh, can we bring the goat on? Can we bring Freddie on for a feature?
We have to go outside. He's officially outside now.
Oh,
so we'd have to go for a little adventure outside with Freddie and Vinny, but they are both officially
we'll share that
there.
Maybe as like another feature, like a live or something.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I'm just excited to kind of dive into like your mission and what you're doing here. And I think maybe we'll just start by sharing what first inspired you to start the Parsons Foundation.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people ask me that, and I wish you would think by now I would have a really smooth answer. I sort of don't. I grew up around horses. So I grew up on a farm. We were in the ag community all our lives. My sister started riding, and then me being the youngest just kind of got dragged along and thrown on a horse and just felt like home. So I've been around them since I was a baby. I grew up riding English, so show jumping, 3-day eventing, all of that fun stuff back in Ontario, which is where we're originally from. And then when I moved out here about 13 years ago, I just kind of realized it was a really different mindset around horses, animals, really kind of in general, but mostly horses, how we view them, how they were utilized in competition and that kind of thing. So it was sort of a culture shock to me. I also learned when I moved out here that there are actually more horses east of Sherwood Park per capita than there are in Texas, which blows my mind. So it kind of became really apparent when I moved out here that it's just a very different mindset around it. There are a lot of horses, or a lot of people that kind of get into horses thinking it's going to be fun, it's going to be easy, we'll get some minis. Horses are great. You just kind of have to be nice to them and they're nice to you back. And God love them, because those people, I mean, their hearts are in the right place. They just want to connect with animals and love animals.
Mhm.
However, if you get into agriculture and horses without any knowledge or experience, you can really end up in some hot water. So a lot of these horses kind of ended up in hands that weren't really capable of supporting them. So there's kind of an overbreeding situation out here. There's a lack of education. And because the horse industry isn't really a regulated one, it's kind of the same with breeding dogs and cats and that sort of thing. It's just a big, for lack of a better wording, problem. When I moved out here, I started barrel racing and spending time kind of in the Western world. I couldn't really afford anything expensive. I actually bought my first horse out here for $1. And he came with a lot of anxiety and a lot of PTSD. And that sort of opened my eyes to a different kind of area. Didn't really deal with a lot of trauma horses growing up. And so he was sort of a big eye opener to how many horses in the world have a lot of trauma that goes kind of unnoticed, unresolved, unsupported. And so I really dove deep into the rehab world with him. And that just opened the door to so many other horses that needed help. And kind of always just been a giver and a supporter and a nurturer with animals. And it just kind of became a natural flow of things. I got one horse that needed help, and then he needed a friend. So I got another, and other people saw the progress I was making with those ones and kind of asked for support with other horses. And that just sort of led me down the road of multiple. And then a good friend was like, hey, maybe you should kind of incorporate, see if you can get some support, because people really loved the mission. They loved what I was doing. And so we were granted charitable status in 2021. So we've been operating with it for about 4 years now, which is phenomenal. And that's just kind of opened the door to grants and sponsorship and more support. So it's been really exciting. I would say it's definitely shifted over the last 4 years from where we originally started. And especially with having just come back from my internship in Texas, it's going to be really exciting to see what this year brings for us. I kind of feel like we're doing a bit of a pivot and a shift. So yeah, excited to see what happens.
I love this. Okay. Tell us what the journey of rehab and healing looks like. Like, what does it look like first for a horse who comes to PARF? What is that journey, if you can share with us?
It obviously depends based on the horse, where they come from, what their age is, any health issues, that kind of stuff. But in general, and we do obtain them different ways. When we first started, we dealt quite closely with the Alberta SPCA. So I built a really good relationship with them. They would call if they had seizure surrender cases, and that's where we would get a lot of our horses. After that, it sort of turned into word of mouth. So people would just call or email and say, I have this horse. This is the situation. So however they come to us, when they come here, we put them through a full assessment. So they get a whole physical assessment and behavioral assessment. We figure out what they need with regards to nutrition, handling, training, that kind of stuff. We, pull blood work. We try and do as much of a full body scan assessment as we can. It's really hard because we often don't get a lot of history with these horses. Very rarely do we get the full story. I don't think I've ever actually gotten the full story on a horse. So we kind of start from scratch. We do a full assessment on them, figure out where they're at mentally, physically, emotionally, and then we customize a rehab plan around that. The physical stuff is usually, like the nutrition stuff, is usually the easiest part. The hardest part is the emotional and the mental, because some of these horses, we've got some that have had extensive abuse. So that part is the part that takes the longest. But once we kind of get them to a better place, the intention is to adopt them out. So, we kind of do what we can to sort of heal what's been caused and set them up for success. And then we do our best to try and match them with the perfect home that will give them that forever stability. We do have some that are permanent residents just based on their ages and their physical and their medical concerns and that sort of thing. So some of them will stay here until their final days. But the intention is that we can adopt some of these guys out to forever homes.
I think what I'd love to kind of dive into for our listeners is just around people who maybe aren't familiar with horses, or maybe just have like that traditional idea of horses, which that they are for riding. And I wonder if you can just shed some light on horses as like from the spiritual side, and what like true relationships with these animals look like? Because would you say that some of the abuse comes from this belief that they're like meant for our use and are mistreated from that perspective? Yeah, I just kind of want to dive into what that looks like for you and from your perspective.
I think that the majority of the abuse comes from just a complete lack of awareness of what these amazing creatures were originally intended for. They weren't put on this earth to be athletes that carry us over massive jumps and run circles around barrels. Like that's not what they were intentionally put on this earth to do. It's not really what we were. They have this really beautiful, I always say horses are natural Reiki masters. Energy is the language they speak. They don't speak English or French. You can teach them what sounds and words mean, but energy is their language. That's what they understand. And so cats, dogs, other animals are really amazing companion animals. They are really great for support and love and compassion. But I always say that horses, if you really want to do that deep mirror work on yourself, horses are perfect for that because they reflect exactly what's in front of them. You cannot lie to a horse. It will tell you every single time when you are not being honest because they reflect exactly what's standing in front of them. And they're just natural Reiki masters. And so the biggest thing, and it kind of comes back to how I see things shifting this year for our rescue, is that education piece of there's so much more than high-end jumpers and phenomenal ropers and cow ponies. There's so much more than these pieces of equipment that we've turned them into. And that's not to say, I mean, I know a lot of phenomenal athletes and competitors that ride horses at high levels that love their horses and they take very good care of their horses. That's not,
and you're not saying not to do those things.
No, because a lot of these horses, we've kind of, over time, a lot of these horses have been bred for certain things. And I've met some horses that if you put a course in front of them, they'll jump it. Like they love it without a rider. Some of them, similar to people, where they have this like athletic competitiveness within them. So some of them love it for sure, but there are others that don't. And those are the ones that sometimes end up in really sticky situations because they're no longer useful to their owner for what they originally were intended, or they can't compete to the certain level that they were originally bred to do. And so those are the ones that kind of end up in really shitty situations. And so the education piece on our end is to try and show people that there's so much more to them than just what they're athletically capable of providing. The compassion, the empathy, the understanding. I love the fact that equine therapy is kind of becoming a really popular wellness field. There are some things that people really need to be cautious about. So make sure that you're connecting with people that have the appropriate education background behind them. So, you know, psychologists, therapists, counselors that have that type of experience. But I love that it has become an increasingly popular route for people to go with regards to wellness support, because it's what horses, in my opinion, thrive at, is that connection piece and that energetic piece and that healing piece. Yeah, there's just so much more to them.
They're sentient, powerful beings.
Very.
Yeah,
Very.
I love it. I love horses. They're actually my like childhood dream. It's so funny. I've just like reconnected back with that in the past, 5 or so years. But I remember I think it was in like a Rebecca's Burn for Words class, and something just hit me. Oh no, I was in shamanic training, and I was like, holy shit, horses were my childhood dream, and my husband is deathly allergic to them.
There are hypoallergenic horses.
Okay, I'm gonna get a poodle horse. But like, it's just so funny, but he totally supports me. There was a point where I'd gone to do some volunteering with horses. I've come out to you, and I just like talking. Every time I see you, I'm just like, oh, I'm meant to go out and hang out. We'll talk about what volunteer opportunities look like for you as well. But but it's just this reminder. I'm like, oh, every time I talk about it, I'm feeling so called. So I'm putting it on my calendar to like make it a priority again, because just the energy of horses are so, so powerful. Can you share with us, like, do you have a particular rescue story that kind of sticks out, like a transformation that really kind of captured your heart?
Yeah, I mean, we've had quite a few different ones. We still have the very first horse we ever got from the SPCA. She was a seizure case. So the SPCA had to go in and take her. They took 5 other, she was pregnant at the time. They took 4 other pregnant mares, a gelding and a stallion, from this severely neglected like severe neglect situation. They
Mm,
were all skin and bones, even the pregnant ones, all skin and bones. They had no food or water. Her situation actually went through the court system. Unfortunately, our animal welfare laws suck. And she was
mm,
fined, I think, $100 and given a slap on the wrist and told
mm.
she can't own more than 5 horses at a time.
Wow.
So there wasn't really a lot of repercussions on that part. But when Kat came here, she was wild. Like she had
Mm,
never been handled in her whole life. She was probably about, we guessed, 6 years old. She had multiple babies, which if you put that into like human perspective, that would be like a 12-year-old having her second or third child. Like her body just was not done developing herself. And then she was
mm,
asked to breed and support all these babies. So she was about 5, had already had multiple babies, was wild, was pregnant. And so the SPCA seized them. We adopted her about a month after they seized her. Or they gave her to us about a month after they seized them. So
mhm.
when she came to us, she had foaled. She had a 3-week-old at her side. And little did we know she was actually pregnant again.
Wow.
So she surprised us the following year with another foal. But she's been kind of one of my favorites. She is one of the hardest cases because of all the health issues that she comes with. She has really bad respiratory issues. Her body is still in pretty rough shape, but we can handle her now. And she's one of actually our gentlest horses. She loves therapeutic work. She loves people. And so she's kind of been one of my favorites because she was number one and she's sort of
Mhm.
gone through her own healing process.
What's her name?
Her name is Kat. So she
Oh,
originally
yeah.
came with the name Jane, and then we had an animal communicator say that her name was actually Kat. So we've been calling her Kat for the last few years.
Oh, I love it.
Um, yeah, but she's amazing. And then I would say her best friend, Piper, is probably the biggest one that we've seen a major shift in. So
Mm,
Piper came from one of the worst abuse situations we had ever seen. The people that had her before had tried to start her,
mm,
or I mean, the old way is to call break. They tried to break her by tying her head to the ground and jumping on and off her back and trying to like desensitize her. And so when she came, she was wild. She was a biter. She was pretty assertive in her nose. And it took us about 10 months to be able to catch her without having to chase her around. Now she's very particular about who can catch her. So she is one of those horses that we've gotten her through a lot of her trauma, but she starts back at stage 1 with every new person. You really have to build a relationship with her
mhm.
before she'll kind of help move you to the next stage. But she's been one of my favorites. Her body has healed really nicely. She does still have some issues in her pole that we're working through. But
Mhm.
every day you can kind of see her heart open up a little bit more and a little bit
Mm.
more. So I'm really excited to see what she decides to do with her own magic in the next few years.
Oh my gosh, I have full shivers right now. I have full shivers. Okay, I just have like a very human question to ask you. I feel like, and I know we all are empaths, truly, but with the animal stuff, I find it so hard to handle, like emotionally. I just feel like absolute resistance. Even hearing about it just like feels like it's breaking my heart physically. How do you approach these things? Like, how are you able to work in this realm without just feeling absolutely like gutted and brokenhearted? Like, what is your perspective? I feel like there's a piece here that's really important for all of us.
It was really hard when I started. I would say the biggest emotion that used to come up for me was anger. Like I would just get so mad at the humans for having caused this kind of situation.
Mm,
I wish that I could say I'm surprised when I hear certain stories, but I think that I've become desensitized seems like a bad word because I'm not desensitized to the feelings. It just, the stories don't surprise me anymore.
hmm
Um, for me, like I do a lot of grounding. It drives Brit nuts, but I walk around the farm and farmers will probably cringe at this comment, but I walk around the farm barefoot. I'm
Yeah.
always constantly grounding, especially being a tourist because I absorb so many energies for people.
Mm,
Grounding has become a huge thing for me. So I do so much grounding when I feel the emotions come up. I've
mm,
also gotten really good at figuring out what's my emotion and what is the horse's emotion, because at
mm,
the beginning, there would be such a muffle of emotions. And I used to think it was always me.
mm.
But the more I spend time with these guys, the more I realized I was absorbing a lot of their stuff and it was all just getting mixed in. And then I was turning into this fun emotional mess that everybody had to deal with. Um,
Yeah.
For me, yeah, I think it's just the biggest thing is grounding. Like I just
Mm,
ground. I'll absorb something, I'll honor what's coming up, I feel into it, and then I have to ground and release it because if I held on to it
mm-hmm,
forever, I mean, it's just going to create so much illness in me. And
mm-hmm.
that's just going to reflect back on the horses in front of me. So,
I love that. It feels very resonant with the joy method. And like step one, which is feeling, and like who wants to feel, especially the suffering of these beautiful animals. And I just really appreciate that. So thanks for sharing. It just feels like you've got really good, like spiritual, like energetic hygiene.
yes, I've learned. I have amazing mentors like you, and Elise has been amazing, and Rayanne, of course. And just listening to how other people seem to be able to clear that energy, especially, facilitators that work with humans. I've kind of listened and absorbed a lot of different information and techniques from all of them and just kind of figured out what works for me.
Hmm.
But the biggest thing was just understanding that I have to clear it. Like I can't keep it in. I was
Hmm.
always really proud of how strong I was, and I could just hold all my emotions in and take on so much. Like I have these massive shoulders. I can carry the world, and I can. And the important thing is to also put it down and know
Yes.
when to put it down, and that it is important to put it down, because if I carry it on my shoulders forever, I'm not going to last as long as I want to. And that limits the number of souls and people and horses that I can help. So,
Yeah. And it just feels like, the
mhm.
self care, not in terms of like the salt baths, which are awesome, but just managing our own energy so that we have the capacity to support in the ways that we desire and feel called. Hey, Joy Warrior. Here's the truth. Joy isn't something that we stumble upon. It's actually something that we need to show up for. It's something that we need to practice every single day. The daily joy journal gives you a space to reconnect with what actually matters most. It's not about doing more. It's about being more present. It's not about chasing end goals. It's about how you feel along the way. Create a daily rhythm of reflection, gratitude, and intention that help you to live lighter, fuller, and more aligned with what matters most to you. Grab your journal at thedailyjoyjournal.com today. Now, back to the episode. What is working with horses and rescue, particularly? How has it helped you to see differently, maybe about like healing or hope?
I feel like I've only really started to understand and believe in that this last year.
Mm,
I feel like as I got into it and really started working with horses, I started to really hate humanity more
mm,
than I ever did, and really started to lose hope in the fact that there was ever a light at the end of the tunnel. Over these last like 6 to 8 months, I've done so much kind of clearing within myself and within the space that for me, when a case habit comes in, or when we're dealing with a certain situation, for me, it's just a reminder of like, it's just a chapter. This is
mm,
just a chapter, and things will always get rough before they get better.
mhm.
You cannot experience the light without the dark. And so having this belief that one day will forever erase the darkness and all we're going to experience is lightness no longer kind of feels like it makes sense, because how do you know you're light without seeing dark? Like
Yes.
how do you experience that without experiencing the other?
Mhm,
And so I feel like over the last 6 to 8 months, it's really just been a deeper understanding that you need the two. And that whenever I see the dark, there's a lesson, there's a purpose in it. There's something that's meant to come out of it. And then I get to see the progress that some of these horses make. And for me, if I can help create trust in them, if I can sit there and watch a horse trust a human and they've never done that before, then for me it's just that reminder of like, okay, I can do the same. Like it can go from bad to good. Like there is a light at the end of the tunnel, even though it feels like you're suffocating maybe right now.
mhm. Yeah, I love that. Can you share with us? So, like, it's called the Joy Journey podcast for a reason. And
Yeah.
I love what you just shared around knowing that we need the shadow in order to experience the light. What is, if you're willing to share with us, one of your most shadowy experiences that you've regained power on, or that you feel like has kind of contributed to perhaps your purpose now? Like how maybe you've given the pain meaning in some way.
It's interesting. So 13 years ago, when I moved out here, the whole reason I moved out here was because it was probably the darkest time of
Mm,
my entire life. And I got very sick, and currently still am experiencing the results from that illness. So I was in a really unhealthy relationship. I was really unhappy. I had no direction. I didn't get into the grad school I wanted to. I was working 3 jobs to support myself. It was just this overwhelming experience of having no idea where to go or where the hope was or what life is supposed to look like. I developed shingles in my right ear. It went down my ear canal and killed my facial nerve. So I was 100% paralyzed on the right side of my face. I had to tape my eyes shut. I had no feeling. And it just kind of spiraled my depression into this level I didn't even know existed. And me at that time, my instinct was always to run, which is probably why I relate with horses, generally fight or flight. Those are my 2. So I ran, I moved from Ontario to Alberta. And on the first day that I was here, I met my now best friend who introduced me to Rayanne that week and started my whole healing journey. So the deepest, darkest moment of my life where I literally thought there was absolutely no end in sight and I had nowhere to go was the pivoting point of moving towards all of this. And so now, out of all of that experience, I've learned that there's so much that you can learn from every piece of your life, and that my soul signed on to be here. And I'm really excited to see what else my soul has signed up for. Really feeling into the fact that I'm pretty sure what's coming over these next few chapters is a lot of light and joy, because I feel like there was a lot of darkness in the last, how old am I? 38? I'll be 39. 39.
Who are we?
Next month. So there's been a lot of heaviness in these last 30 something years. And so just really feeling into the excitement of what's coming up.
And what gets to be possible.
Yeah.
Makes me really emotional. I'm really glad that you're here and that you get to use, that pain and you've transformed it into really supporting these beautiful beings. And now it's like, it feels like this infinity loop of healing and hope. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Healing and hope. Oh, healing and hope sessions. Oh my gosh. The branding queen in me can't be like, oh my God, we have to talk after this. I see so much we're going to have people out they're coming and everyone's going to work with them and you're going to talk about this. And there's so much potential. And this leads me to my next question, which is, well, I have a lot more, but 2 in particular. One, I want to talk about Texas, but I also want to know, what are you unfolding? I feel so is it related to going to Texas? Did you have a whole lot of downloads when you were there? And maybe just share with us that experience and what's coming through if you're open to sharing.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's so much coming in the next year. And I feel like having gone to Texas and spending those 3 weeks of just fully immersed in horses and magic, and then having some downtime with Britt where we got to just relax and be for a few days was really nice. So coming back, everything sort of feels really clear and really open. When we originally started the rescue, my mindset was I just have to go in and rescue all these horses and heal them and adopt them. And there are a lot of rescues that focus on that sort of ground level work where they just find all of these horses from these really shitty situations and give them safe space. I love that. And I sort of originally thought that's where we were going. Now it feels more like we're pivoting towards an education piece and a connection piece. For me, I really am feeling called to the healing work. So, having Britt as a partner, being very deep into the body, the healing the body and the understanding the illnesses and stuff that go on through there. Watching her work on the horses, understanding that there's a really beautiful connection. We actually have some kind of cool duo sessions coming up that we're going to start guinea pigging. So people get to come and understand fascia. They get to experience it through themselves. They get to experience it through the horses. We also have a couple of amazing therapists that have reached out that are building some relationships with our horses that are going to start offering some really unique one-on-one sessions. And we have an amazing documentary that we are screening in July. So one of the relationships I've made over the last year, and we actually sat down and met with them when we were in Arizona, are with this amazing couple called Dayna and Chrisana. They're called Live Wild Films. Live Wild Films. They've created a couple of documentaries. One is called Love Heals, and it talks about the Fire Up, Water Down healing system. I'm going to butcher it. They talk better about it in their documentary.
We'll link it in the show notes.
Right. But they've created this amazing documentary called Rescue Hearts. They've been working on it for a couple of years now. One of the people that are in the documentary is who I went to do my internship with in Texas. So Patrick and Avery Sullivan are a couple down in Texas that do liberty work with their horses. And Patrick went on a 2,500 miles. So he rode across the states bareback, bridleless, on two of his horses. So down highways. From a horse person's perspective, you're like, this person is insane.
Yeah.
But I've met him in person and I've seen the really beautiful relationship he's built with his horses. So his journey alone is amazing. And that's why I started following him a few years ago and why I kind of latched on and went down to Texas for a few weeks. But he's featured in the documentary. And so their documentary speaks into the incredible power, the healing power of horses. They speak to professionals from around the world. They even went over to South Africa and worked with Candace Webster. So if anybody has sent those videos to you, she's amazing. She's in their documentary. Horse professionals, wellness professionals from around the world, and have created this documentary that it's hard to put into words. You have to watch it.
Is it available now?
No. So they're doing a private screening of part one for us in July. They're going to be doing film festivals over the next summer. They're really focused on doing like a grassroots movement where they just travel around and do private viewings of it. The hope is that one of their documentaries is currently on Gaia. So I think their hope is to eventually get it onto that platform moving forward. But they're just doing a private screening of part one for us in July. And I'm so excited because it's amazing. I've seen snippets of it and it speaks so much more clearly about my belief system and my perspective because they're just professionals and people say it better than I do, I guess. But it's incredible. And I'm really excited to do that. So we have that coming up in the works. And then we're in the process of trying to find land. We really want to build a wellness space where we get to experience mutual horse healing sessions and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up.
Oh, I love it so much. Okay. So documentary is a screening. That's what's going to be taking place, is there will be a screening. Is that, are the public invited to that? Or is this just for you? Like, what does this look like?
Yes. So we actually have tickets that went live yesterday.
Okay.
So we are going to start sharing all of the information today.
Perfect timing.
So people can start purchasing tickets as of today. They will get kind of we're going to do a sort of mini presentation introduction before. They're going to screen part one, and then we're going to have a live Q&A at the end where they actually we're flying Dayna and Chrisana up from Arizona. So people will actually get to interact with us. They'll get to interact with Dayna and Chrisana, as well as the CHDC, which is the Canadian Horse Defense Coalition. They're a nonprofit in Canada that is fighting to end live horse transport overseas for human consumption. Along with another rescue. So it'll be a really cool experience.
Love it. How can we best support you? Like, honestly, what does it look like? People listening, if they want to help or be a part of PARF or support in some way, what might that look like?
There's a lot of different ways that they can get involved. So physically volunteering is always an option. We are a really small operation, so we only have about 17 horses on the property. And so there is the physical volunteering. If you have horse experience, if you're curious about kind of learning more about liberty and how we work and connect with our horses, because it is very different than traditional methods, there's that option. There's honestly, follow us on social media and like and share things. If you aren't in the Alberta area, if you don't have the means of supporting financially, because again, we're a charity, so we can do taxable receipts. So if people want to donate, that's always amazing. If anybody wants to sponsor, especially our event in July, we're looking for main sponsors that will help cover the costs of putting this event on. So if you're interested in donating or sponsoring, there's ways of getting involved in our kind of membership and board process. If you have, a legal background or accounting background, we always welcome people with those kind of professional skills that are interested in jumping on board and helping us, because there's outlets like grant writing and stuff that we need support with. I mean, there's just so many.
Trailers,
hay bales. We are looking for property. We need an expansion.
Land.
So land, tractors,
Food.
Trailers. Yes. We don't actually have our own truck and trailer. Unfortunately, we have to rely on our amazing community, which is great. Unfortunately, when there's an emergency situation, it causes a lot of stress.
Yeah.
especially with wildfires over the last couple of years. Having a truck and trailer on our property would be amazing. So
manifesting. I'm planting that seed, a truck and trailer for you.
Yes, please.
Planting that seed. And all of the support that would just make it so much easier to expand your mission. I just keep hearing hope and healing, hope and healing. And yeah, I'm just grateful, so grateful to know you and to get to experience your magic. Okay, last question, unless there's anything else you feel like sharing. But I would love to know, what would you tell little Dayna? Like, what is one piece of wisdom that you would share with her if you could go back in time?
Other than it's all going to be okay. Life is fun. Just enjoy it. For me, I mean, there's a few things. The first biggest thing I've learned is to have a really beautiful relationship with your ego. So that little voice inside your head, little Dayna grew up with a lot of bullying. I was a tomboy. I was really quiet. I was really awkward. I didn't have the best relationship with my sister as a kid. So I experienced a lot of bullying. And I would say all of that really stuck in my head. I am the biggest bully to myself. And one of the biggest things I would have told little Dayna is that, like, you actually are your number one cheerleader. Like, it's really important that you remember to be your number one cheerleader, because believe it or not, there's a lot of people rooting for you. Like, there's a lot of people rooting for the little person inside of you. And that generally that voice that you hear inside your head is your own little bully. And so that would be one of my biggest things, is just learn to have a beautiful relationship with your ego and recognize that it's there for a reason. It is trying to keep you safe based on its own belief system. And that sometimes it comes into play for a really important reason. Because I mean, I think back at all the missed opportunities that I could have experienced had I not listened to my ego. Like, if I had just understood that that's just my own voice and my own ego right now telling me not to do something. I mean, I wouldn't even have the relationship I have right now if I had listened to that little voice. You know, Britt was not the person I thought I was going to end up with in any way, shape, or form. And had I listened to my ego and listened to that story, I told myself I'd be missing out on the most amazing relationship I've ever had. And so...
Okay, pause. Wait, tell us more.
About Britt.
Yeah. Tell us.
Yeah. I mean, so I mean, it's you. I'm going to be totally straightforward and frank. Yeah. I was straight my whole life, you know. I kept telling myself, no, I'm straight. I love the boys. They're magic. My relationships were all men. And because of my physicality, like, I'm not a tiny person. Because of my personality, I'm a tomboy. I kind of always kept saying my type is, you know, this big burly man who can go chop wood and build fires and fix trucks and has a beard and all of this kind of stuff. And there are some really beautiful, healthy men that look like that. Yes, not knocking those. But I kind of always thought I really needed this big burly man to make me feel safe in my feminine so that I could slide into my feminine, because I sit really comfortably in my masculine. And then Britt kind of started to spiral into my vortex, because I started to do a lot of healing work on myself and started having conversations with spirit, universe, and being like, I just really want a healthy person. I want a healthy partner that wants to, you know, have hard and beautiful conversations and wants to piece together this life of, you know, love and service and magic and all of this kind of stuff. And so Britt started spiraling around my space. And I remember telling friends, oh, if I was gay, she'd be my type. And so, but then she kind of kept spiraling. And then I saw her in person for the first time at Wild Roses, actually. And, you know, like in high school, when you see your crush coming around the corner, you're like walking down the hall and you're like, oh, I wonder if there's this room. Like, it was that kind of body feeling.
Yeah.
And I heard my ego pop up a little bit, and I said, you know what? No, I'm actually going to just like observe this feeling. I'm like, okay, acknowledge it's there. It's interesting. We'll see what happens. She doesn't remember meeting me, even though we were introduced. Elise introduced us. Doesn't remember meeting me. That's fine.
No big deal. Won't take that to my grave.
Right. Again, though, just a reminder, you don't see what you're not meant to see in the moment.
Yeah.
And so I started stalking her a little bit on social media and asking about fascia stuff. But then again, the little voice inside my head was like, no, she's not a boy. She's not a boy. Like, great, cute, and not a boy. And then I got this opportunity to go on this dating show, this TV dating show where you could date a farmer. And that was, I saw her in person in July. I was supposed to leave at the beginning of September, and that kind of fell through. Nothing really manifested from it. And so I had a conversation with Spirit, and I was like, if it's meant to be, it'll be. And if not, that's fine. So it didn't work out. And then, because I was supposed to be gone all of September, part of October. And then I ended up going to a different retreat in September that I wouldn't have been at had I been on the show. And that's where she saw me for the first time and started asking people about me. And then we kind of like did this little social media dance for a few months. And then we met in another event in November, and someone said, hey, like, would you ever date Britt if she asked you out? And I was like, sure, why not? And so she did that night. We went on a drink. We went for a drink a few days later. And yeah, I think 2 months later, I was like, yeah, I'm going to propose. Like, this is my person. So it's just been a really wild experience of like, just kind of really having faith in Spirit's going to hand you exactly what you're meant to experience. And your ego is beautiful. Thank it. Love it. And sometimes just tell it to like go in the other room and watch some TV. Like, just fuck off. Like, love you. And
bless off. I like to be more positive.
You fucked up enough. Like, love you. You get to sit on the bench for a while, and I get to just go with the flow. So,
and now you're getting married.
Yeah.
This fall.
Crazy. September.
Celebrating you both. So good. Oh, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So amazing. Yeah. I just really want to thank you from my heart to yours for being who you are, for like being this beautiful light and reminder in the world of what healing gets to look like, and that there is hope, and that there's so much magic here for all of us. And I feel like this is literally just the beginning. I can't wait to see what unfolds for you. I'll definitely be linking like everything, all the links to everything that you're up to in the notes for anyone who wants to support or get involved in some way. And I just want to say, I love you.
I love you. Thank you for having me. You have been, it's interesting because I teamed your level too. And that's where I saw you for the first time. And it was kind of like supporting a celebrity, because I had heard about you and I had been following you for so long that I was like, oh my God. And then Rayanne was calling you Gigi. And I'm like, she's so cool. And like our little joy wizard. And you're just the most genuine and authentic human. Like, I love you so much. And your laugh, I mean, I love that that's the opening sound clip of your podcast, because it literally the sound encompasses exactly who you are. And I love it. And your podcast has been so much fun. I mean, Mandy is such an amazing human to listen to. So I loved hearing her stories. Cecilia Kissel, I've had a little girl crush on her for so long because she's so sweet and cute and genuine and beautiful. And like her family, I just love her. It's just been really, amazing to listen to you. So I'm so glad that you launched this and that everybody gets to hear your laugh on a regular basis and hear your conversations. And it's just amazing. And I'm so disappointed I didn't say fuck more often in this, actually.
Fuckity fuck.
Yeah, fuck.
There you go.
I was so excited to just like fuck and swear.
Really release some F-bombs.
Yeah. Next time.
Oh, there'll always be next time. I love it. Thank you.
Thank
Till we do this again, honey.
Yeah, so excited.